Ladies and gentlemen, I am Tosh Berman for ARTBOOK D.A.P. and here we're to discuss a book. What a surprise. A book. Two books in a slipcase. Very exciting. But what makes it more exciting, this is John Cage, a Mycological Foray, Variations on Mushrooms. Yes, I'm excited about this as well. Mushrooms. I love mushrooms. John Cage possibly even loved mushrooms more than me. And we know John Cage is probably as the greatest composer of the 20th century. That's debatable. I know there's, it's a subjective opinion here. But Cage is one of my favorites of all time. I'm not to say that because I'm from Los Angeles, and John Cage is from the Los Angeles area. But it seems like John Cage, besides studying music, making music, changing 20th century art culture, he also had an interest in documenting and locating and eating mushrooms. I like peanut butter. I actually go to a market and try to find the best peanut butter jar. And I'm not prejudiced against processed peanut butter with organic peanut butter. I'm open to all peanut butter. And similar to the great John Cage, though I don't want to compare myself to somebody obviously iconically fantastic, he was very open about mushrooms, including poison mushrooms. He became an expert on mushrooms. He studied mushrooms for many years. He joined societies that went out to look for mushrooms, and all they did was go out in the hills of various wilderness, locate the mushrooms, photograph the mushrooms, take the mushrooms back to their place, cook the mushrooms, eat the mushrooms, and then have a lively discussion about the mushrooms and the meal of these mushrooms. For some people, this might be not that interesting, but as me, who's a peanut butter connoisseur, I can change my love for peanut butter and understand John Cage's love for mushrooms. It's not a leap, it's just two steps one either direction. And what we have here, this book is all in one volume. What we have in all one volume is his total obsession with mushrooms. You want a book about his music? That's not it. This is a book about mushrooms, John Cage's mushrooms. The world of mushrooms is seen through the eyes of John Cage. So this is a 2-volume set, a slipcase. The first case is a Mycological Foray, beautifully textured book with color photographs, black and white images of various mushrooms. John Cage even did mushroom collage art, as well as just photographs of mushrooms in the wilderness. And nice picnic outfit of picnic photograph of John Cage with friends after a mushroom hunt, drinking wine and mushrooms. John Cage knew the good life. And I have to say, for a guy an older gentleman, I'm very much impressed with the John Cage look. I see him preparing mushrooms. I love the John Cage Levi's shirt, blue jean shirt, and Levi's, like 501 Levi's. That's sort of the classic John Cage look. And so in this book right here is a really interesting book. It goes into his music. In a way, it's a sort of a loose biography of John Cage, toned through his eyes, through his writings, his journals, some interviews, some of his essays. And if you're a person who's afraid of mushrooms, like, gee, I love John Cage's music, but do I need to know about his mushroom habit? How far do I take this John Cage issue? This is a very enjoyable first volume of this focusing on John Cage's aesthetic. Music aesthetic as well as mushroom aesthetic. He merged the mushroom into the music. It's like a blender, like he took the mushroom, blended with music and sound, and just gulped it down culturally. Not me not do this in person, but we feel that way. And the last part of the book is actually a piece that John Cage wrote. And I'm just going to read a little bit because it's pages long. But it's meant to be not read. It's meant to be spoken. This piece is called Mushrooms and Variations. And I have to warn you, this might be the ultimate mushroom literature poetry. I'm just going to read a little bit. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Instead, between that too deal more becoming and after, not line between, instead of in latter case both. I am every atom because relationship between them takes working fact. Just a little sample, just to get your appetite to read the rest. One volume, biography of sorts on John Cage's life, but mostly about his obsession with mushrooms. And then you notice there's volume 2. What's volume 2? That was a surprise to me. Volume 2 is the Mushroom Book. And this is the first reproduction of his portfolio that he did in 1972, and he did it in collaboration with illustrator Lois Long and botanist Alexander H. Smith, a scientist. Mushroom Book. So I open it thinking, okay, it's going to be like I read another book, but as you can see, it's not. It's an activity book of sorts. And you open this title page of sorts. And here is the original copyright thing and date, 1972. And an example. We turn around. It looks like John Cage's sort of scribbles in his notes. And then you open it. You get literature about the mushrooms. You get an illustration of the mushrooms. And it's a combination of hard mushroom science, plant life, and John Cage aesthetic involved in all this. It's all the same. So this was like actually one after another. Him identifying different mushrooms, discussing the mushrooms, telling what the mushrooms are. It's just what the Mushroom Book is. It is the Mushroom Book. It's not the peanut butter book. It is the Mushroom Book. So this is a 2-piece volumes in a slipcase, a Mycological Foray, where the whippoorwill sound and the moral lay, mushrooms and variations. The ultimate mushroom package by John Cage. Exceptional volume of books. This is Tosh Berman. Thank you.